told your friend you're not okay? And tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. And guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away, as you fade away.
Hello, guys. Welcome back to the Journey of Life podcast. I'm your host, Tendie, and today we're bringing to you another episode. This podcast is the podcast for you if you're a young person trying to navigate through life, through the journey of life, hence the name Journey of Life podcast. Make sure you follow the podcast on Instagram at JOL Podcast. You can also follow me, your host, at Tendaishe Monalissa on Instagram. You can follow my hair page at Tendie's Blessed Hands. And we have back my co-host, Chido, Dr. Chido. Yay! And I'll link her Instagram as well. Today we're bringing you special edition, First of all, we'll give you guys a disclaimer. If this is an uncomfortable topic for you, let's say you're a guy and you're not comfortable hearing about bodies and body fluids and whatever, maybe you might want to skip this one. But I would actually really encourage guys to listen to this because it will give you a lot more insight on what's going on with the female body. So we're going to discuss, as you know, the topic is things no one told me, feminine hygiene edition. Guys, we're going to break it down to you, all the things that we had to discover along the way via YouTube, via each other, via friends. God knows, it's been the ghetto learning and, getting into womanhood. So yeah, firstly, we always love to educate first and then talk about our journey second. So Chido is going to take it away and give you guys a little education. Yeah.
Hey guys, welcome back. So we are talking about something that's very, very interesting, and we are going to be talking a lot about vaginas in a good way.
Brace yourself.
But I think the first thing, because we're talking about just feminine health, is just understanding the anatomy of it. Promise I'm going to try break it down very easily so that at least when we start explaining things, then you kind of know what we are talking about. So the first thing is the vagina, right? So people often use the term vagina to refer to the entire, female genital region, like everything, right? Between your legs, but that's incorrect. I think this is what we need to understand first, because when you come to, let's say, things like cleaning, you need to know where you should be using certain things. So the first thing is that there's a place called the vulva. This is the correct term for the outside part, right? For the outside part of your wee-wees and your female parts. Okay.
Lady bits.
Yeah. So you also, after that, so that's the general part. We have the part where your hair grows, and that's called the mons pubis, just knowing that's the area where the hair grows. And then we have the bigger lips that you have, and that's called the labia majora. So those are your big lips on the outside. We go inside, then you have your smaller lips, which are the labia minora. Then at the top, you've got your little clitoris at the top there, covered by a hood. Underneath, you've got your urethra, where your pee-pee comes out, your wee-wees comes out, your urine comes out. And then underneath, you have the opening of your vagina, right? So you have two holes there, actually. So then afterwards, you have your vagina, and this vagina is like a cylinder or like a pipe shaped. It's usually 6 centimeters, and it connects the outside with the inside. So it connects to the opening of your womb called the cervix. So that's just kind of like what to know about the vagina, where it is. And then, you have your cervix, which is the opening of your womb. Then you have your womb, which is called the uterus, where, everything else happens. So the vagina is the one where you give birth through. This is where your menstrual blood exits through. It's where you insert certain things, penises, tampons, menstrual cups, everything. So that's just a general overview of your vagina. Yeah.
So I'm going to take it up from here and describe a little bit what's going on at a microscopic level in the vagina. So to put it in the simplest terms, I think the basic knowledge that every girl should have is that the vagina, microscopically, there's some bacteria in there. And this bacteria is good bacteria. So in our bodies, actually, even in our GI system, our gastrointestinal system, so what's the layman's term for GI?
Your colon, your bowels.
Your bowels, exactly.
Bowels.
Even inside your bowels, there's bacteria in there. And this is good bacteria that's necessary for your gut health. So just like your gut, your vagina has good bacteria that is necessary for the health of the vagina, right? And this bacteria thrives under certain environments. So this is when we discuss the pH. So the pH of the vagina is slightly acidic. So, you know, probably if your pH is off, you can get a strip test from the pharmacy or from your doctor to check the pH of your vagina, and you can actually realize what's the cause of the problem, right? So since it's slightly acidic, if it changes, then it affects the environment of this good bacteria, which means that sometimes it can't thrive, or sometimes it overgrows. And then when those extremes happen, we have a problem. So I think where this is concerned, I think I'll discuss like yeast infection and public enemy number one, BV, bacterial vaginosis. Yeah. So yeast infection usually occurs when there's like candida overgrowth. Candida is a particular yeast that is already present in the vagina, right? So under certain conditions, if it overgrows, that's when we have a problem. There's itchiness, burning sensation, and usually your vaginal discharge will change in consistency. It's like a cheesy kind of consistency, a white consistency. It's inside and also around the opening of your vagina, right? And a good way. So I know that these conditions or vaginal conditions, I'll say mild, you know, they can be treated as well with like some home remedies and things like that. So there's such a thing as a candida diet. So things like cinnamon, you can literally Google it and find it. Cinnamon, apple cider vinegar top, ginger. These are candida diet friendly. So if you're trying to correct a yeast infection, these are foods that you can take that can be really helpful. Garlic as well. And then we go to bacterial vaginosis. So now with yeast infection, we talked about a yeast. So naturally it's treated with an antifungal. And then with bacterial vaginosis, like we said before, they can be an overgrowth, or they can be a lack of good bacteria to protect your vaginal canal. So what happens is that your discharge also changes. So it can be like a watery consistency. It has the popular one, the fishy odor, you know, or foul smelling. It's very strong. It can be thin, gray, white, or like a green vaginal discharge. So and usually it doesn't come with like an itching sensation, but sometimes it can, or burning during, you know, urination, but usually there's no itching associated with it. Then you know there's bacterial vaginosis involved. How can it be solved? If it's recurring, sometimes it resolves on its own after a couple of days. If it's recurring, go to your doctor and they can give you some antibiotics, or you can also take probiotics. Probiotics promote the growth of the good bacteria. So a popular one is lactobacillus. Sorry, I'm using yeah. So things like Greek yogurt is really good to promote this kind of bacteria that's good for your vaginal health. So that's the biological environment on a microscopic level. And I give it back to you.
Yeah, so that's at least a non-sexually transmitted condition. Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and just talk about STDs and STIs, which are sexually transmitted diseases. I know that before it was, you know, like sexually transmitted diseases, STD, and then there's also STI, you know, that they changed, which is sexually transmitted infection. I think I just wanted to explain this and the difference, because for a while I was like, okay, what is the difference? What is going on?
Same.
ETC, is it not STD? Is it not STI? Which is there? Is
there
one
difference?
worse? Is one worse than the other? But the thing is, no matter which term people use, they're actually talking about the same thing. So the infections that get passed from one person to another during sex is this infection, right? And STI is actually the most up-to-date term that healthcare providers use. They switched it from STD to STI because infection is more accurate and there's less stigma than disease,
Oh,
So sexually transmitted infections are spread predominantly by unprotected sexual contact, right? So some STIs can also be transmitted like during birth or, during breastfeeding or through infected bloods, etc. But most of them are during like sexual contact with the partner. So the majority of STIs actually have no symptoms in the beginning. You'll be okay. You'll be fine. You'll be just going
normal.
on like life is normal. But when they are present, the common symptoms, kind of like bacterial vaginosis, as Tendie was saying, are things like you have this discharge, a vaginal discharge, or you've got urethral, which is where your wee-wee comes out. You've got this discharge. You can have an ulcer. You can have lower abdominal pain. I think when it's going to lower abdominal pain, then it's even getting like really
higher
bad. It's getting higher.
Reproductive system.
Yeah, it's ascending. The infection is ascending, and the most common ones. And the thing is that they're curable. This is, I think, the most important thing, that when they're caught on time, they can be cured. So the most common ones, Tendie also mentioned like trichomonas, which is usually get this like greenish discharge. It's a bit foul smelling. There's chlamydia that everyone knows about, of course. There's gonorrhea, there's syphilis, Then there are also the viral ones like, herpes, or, the ones that we talk about. And how do you resolve it, really? I guess that's the most important thing. Use protection whilst you're having sex, but of course that is not 100% effective, because we know that if you use a condom, it can rip. If it's not used protectly, it can still spread, but so screening is the most effective method. And if you have any of these symptoms.
What does screening mean?
Oh, that's a good question. So screening is just getting it checked, really, because at the hospital, the most important thing is that you shouldn't be ashamed if you have these symptoms. And I think as a girl, as a lady, you should know what your discharge looks like normally. And you need to be aware that, there's just something that has changed. And if something has changed, you should go to the hospital, get them to check it. They do some tests, maybe they'll do like a urine test or whatever. So just screening is the most effective way of getting it checked. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe that was a lot. But yeah.
No, I don't think it was pretty good and straight to the point. Thank you so much. So I think another aspect that I thought that, we need to discuss that's a little bit different from the guys is also that we have breasts. Apart from our reproductive organs, that's different. We also have breasts. And I think I would say maybe outside of feminine hygiene is part of it, but also feminine health. Checking your breast is very important. So I think you can find even online and Google it, because we are making a podcast, so it's audio right now. We can't show you actively the examples, but feeling your boobs around the perimeter of your armpit, if you're feeling any lumps, if you're feeling pain, if there's discoloration or dimpling, nipple inversion, like your nipple is not standing upright like it usually does, if there's discoloration around your areola, those are signs.
What's an areola?
So your areola is that dark area around your nipple. Yes. So if there's any discoloration, it's changed. I know that in different races the color is different. So for us, let's say black people, like ours is like a dark brown or coffee brown, and depending on how dark you are, that also changes. And I think in white people it's more like a pinkish color, and it's different in different people of color. So if you're seeing something that is abnormal, something that is not the usual, then make sure you go and consult. Breast cancer is one of those very common cancers actually that are curable when treated on time. You know what I mean? So make sure you're routinely checking for anything that is abnormal. Sometimes during your menstrual cycle, you can see that, your boobs are a little bit bigger or something like that. Also, those are normal changes. So if you're seeing like abnormal changes, it's always good to consult a doctor and get it checked and, get it nullified than just sitting around in discomfort or pain or something odd. You're seeing redness around your boobs or other symptoms, or there's discharge. You're not breastfeeding, but there's some kind of discharge coming out of your nipples. Observe it, try to take note of it. Is it like pus? Does it have a smell? Is it colorless? Whatever it is, and you go to get an appointment, go to your GP and go and get that checked, right? So yeah, I think with breast disease, it's really common now, and you can find out even online about it to learn a little bit more. But if you have history of breast cancer in your family, it puts you at a at a higher risk maybe than other people. And sometimes you can just also get it randomly as well. So you have to be extra vigilant if you've had maybe your mom or your mom's sister or your grandma who's had breast cancer in their past. It's not very common, I guess. Maybe in our demographic, 20 to 30 years old, breast cancer is much more common in females over 50. So because in our age group, routine screening is not recommended. The screening that we're talking about, like the checking at the hospital routinely, it can be easily missed, So you constantly checking your breasts. You can even teach, your partner how to do it, and they can also check and keep notice, because sometimes you get so used to your body and you don't notice some differences, but your partner might notice it. So we also want to teach the men how to see these things in us as well. So this is why I still recommend that guys really listen to this, and you can learn how it works with your ladies or with your partners or even with your friends, with the sister, and you can give them some advice. So this is our education segment. I hope you guys learned a thing or two. Both of us are in the medical field, so hopefully you can trust that we know a little bit. We don't know it all, but I think we have also kind of seen it firsthand a little bit. So now we're just gonna go with our journeys, guys. This is gonna be candid. And I think it's a discussion we always kind of have together, and we're just like, man, I wish someone told me, but I'm grateful to have you to actually confide in and talk about some of these really embarrassing things together. I don't have a sister.
I don't as well.
Well, I didn't. Now I do. So now we get to be each other's sisters and discuss this. So this is the No One Told Me Feminine Hygiene Edition. So no one told me vaginal discharge is normal.
Wait.
Like that your vagina actually just discharges something.
So you thought something was wrong with you?
Every time it happens, it means that it's a wrong thing. But the thing is that I was too embarrassed to ever tell anyone. So it was just like this thing that's happening that I feel that is wrong, but I'm not telling anyone.
Like something is coming out. It's not correct.
So I thought that nothing is supposed to come out at all. That's what I thought.
And the problem is that it changes. Right, from every whatever phase you're in. Right, so it can get thicker and more watery and more,
Me, I was like, the fact that I even have it in the first place, there's something wrong with me. Your vagina is supposed to just be chilling, sitting still,
to be clean.
Yes,
nothing.
So if there's something already coming out, there's something wrong with you. And I was just like, sis, I don't even know what's wrong with me. I have not had sex with anyone, but why is this happening? But I'll just be quiet. I didn't tell anyone. I just continued life until at some point I discovered that, actually it's normal. I think and this was later in life, like when I came to uni. So I'm now watching all these YouTube videos about feminine hygiene. I feel like I learned a lot from those YouTube girls. And I feel like it's doing so much help because no one told me, no one set me down. Like my mom didn't sit me down to be like, okay, so your vagina produces discharge and that is normal. And this discharge changes in consistency depending on your cycle. So sometimes when you're ovulating, you can see that it becomes thicker or something like that. And
but that's so true. No one ever told me this as well. And I think it was only after starting medical school that I knew that, it changes, because I thought it should be the same throughout. So when I had thicker discharge or,
what's
and I was
wrong
like,
again?
Man, am I getting BV? What is it like? Have I done something? And Yeah, that's actually a very. Anyway, guys, if you didn't know,
Yes.
it's normal.
It's normal. And how normal it is relative to you and the way God created you.
Yeah.
So some people naturally they just have a bit more discharge than others. So don't feel like there's something wrong with you if normally your body produces more discharge than maybe what others say. I think this is one thing about vaginas. They're very unique. They're created so special and unique to you. So how your vagina is normally outside the norm is what is actually considered, even medically and clinically, abnormal. What's abnormal to you? So there's no standard for vaginas. That's how unique and special and cool
this is why you need to know your own body.
Your body,
and
yes.
how it works, because it's not like Tendie's normal is Chido's
Yeah,
normal.
It's not a one size fits all.
Yeah. Interesting.
Take the second one.
Okay. No one told me that I should go to the doctor if I'm itching down there.
Yeah. I mean, did someone tell you?
No.
Me neither.
No.
I was just like, if I'm itching down there, I think maybe for
but
some of us,
embarrassed.
Exactly. Yeah. For context, like in African culture, or we come from Zimbabwe, and these topics are very sensitive and taboo. So even the fact that you're itching down there, the elders are already going to assume, so you're having sex, so you're doing some wrong things, you're playing around with boys, so you already feel bad that you're itching down there even though you haven't done anything, and you're more scared about that than actually getting treated. And I feel like, guys, like, you shouldn't be embarrassed. You're actually not well. You treat it like you're sick. When you have a cold, you rush to the hospital, you're coughing, you're doing this. You can imagine that's your vagina coughing. It's telling you, oh, I need some help, I need some assistance, I need some medication, I need some attention. So don't be embarrassed. I didn't know this, and honestly, for the longest time, I was just embarrassed. I would just be Googling on the internet at 3 a.m.
If you were Googling, I was scared that someone would see that I'm Googling.
Your history.
That my wee-wee's itching. So now they'll see and they'll think, oh, this girl's being promiscuous.
There you go. For me, I was like, I have the privacy of internet, YouTube, so I would go deep. I think that's how I actually got to learn a lot, because I felt like I had the privacy of just learning and finding information without anybody ever discovering it. So I started to learn like home remedies, all these apple cider vinegar baths and whatnot. That's how I started to learn it. But even when you're learning these things, like, you're just trying random things on the internet. So it's actually better to go to a doctor who will recommend probably the best option for you.
And you'll be surprised, maybe the itching, it's not even like you have an infection. Maybe the products you're using are just not working for you, because like Tendie and I were talking the other day, and I was like, just because always pads work for someone, it does not mean they'll work for you. Personally, for me, they make me itch, and for the longest of time, like in high school, everyone was on this always hype, they're nicely packed, etc. And I also wanted to use always, but whenever I used them, I'd get itchy, and I'm like, this itch, maybe there's something wrong with me, but I think that's, just to even like look at that and know that even maybe the products you're using are causing an itch.
Yeah, even the underwear you're wearing and everything like that.
Yeah.
I feel like another thing that no one told me, the guys are in on it. They know we have periods. I'm telling you, because you know how we were brought up. Periods were this like special thing. It was almost like it's like a girl's secret. That's how they kind of treated it.
Yeah.
So it was like, oh, when someone was on their period, the boys are not supposed to no, we're supposed to hide it.
Oh, yeah,
it's like
so
this thing that guys don't know. And I'm just like, of course they know,
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I think that this is something that no one told me. I kind of discovered it. I was just like, wait, they do know.
Of course they know.
Of course they do know that we have periods, and things like that. I mean, if you're in a heterosexual relationship, like, of course the guy is going to know at some point that you have your period, and they know about periods. I thought it was this huge secret that us as women, we were keeping our secret society of periods. And I was wondering, how was I going to keep this a secret?
For years.
Until I die.
They just don't know.
My man was going to discover it at some point.
Of course.
And then I've let the girlies down.
to be kicked out of the secret association of women.
I'm telling you.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Like, that's so true. I think I also thought it was a secret. Yeah.
What else did no one tell you?
Well, no one ever told me that a UTI is not a sexually transmitted disease.
Girl.
I thought you only get UTIs after having sex. Which meant that if I thought I had a UTI, I couldn't tell my mom.
Yeah.
She would think I'm having
That's
sex. But I don't know, I've just been wearing tight jeans or something.
There you go. I've
know?
just been wearing this underwear that is just doing the most.
Yeah, and I want lacy, underwear, not cotton underwear. So maybe this is why I have this thing. But because of that, no one ever told me, and I had to discover that no, it just can just happen.
Absolutely. I think I'll relate actually when there was this one time I got a UTI, and I want you girls and guys to know that actually there are some people who are more prone to UTIs, like naturally, like you know what I mean.
And
so
women
sometimes
are more prone.
and women already are more prone to urinary tract infections because our urethra is much shorter than the guys.
The urethra?
So urethra is basically the tube that connects to your bladder where your pee comes from. So that tube in women is very short, and then in men it's quite long and like convoluted. So before the infection like spreads or goes up, it's much more complicated. So it's easier for women, you know what I mean? So it can be very, small things like how you're wiping, knowing that you don't wipe from back to front, you wipe from front to back, because the most common cause of the urinary tract infection is this particular bacteria called E. coli, and it's in your feces or your stool. So if you wipe from back to front, then you're going to put, that bacteria, and then that's what's going to cause the urinary tract infection. So things like that you have to be careful about. And there's no man involved. It's you on your own. Exactly. So I didn't know that. And I remember one time I had one and I was really embarrassed. And, it was burning while I was peeing and I had urgency. So like I had the urge to pee a lot. But then because it was burning and it was so uncomfortable, I was now holding the pee, which is exactly what you're not supposed to do when you're having a urinary tract infection. You're having those symptoms of burning sensation when you pee. You have to drink a lot of water and pee. Every time you feel like peeing, go to pee, because that's also how you flush out the bacteria. So it can actually resolve that way, or you can resolve it at home also taking some home remedies, garlic, and all these home remedies that really work. Or you can actually go and get an antibiotic and you'll be fine after a couple of days. So I wish I knew. But at least now I know, and I don't feel bad about it, because I feel like if you come from very conservative environments, like you will suffer with a lot of like vaginal situations because you're too embarrassed
to talk about it.
To talk about it, even with a friend, because maybe the friend is not also judging you. What have you been doing? You know what I mean?
And the bad thing is that if you like things like UTIs, they're very bad if they're not treated. They can even cause like brain, like you can get what they call delirium. It means that it goes all the way, affects your brain. Like this is how bad a UTI is. So just making sure if you have this burning sensation, this you want to pee a lot, you just feel like something is wrong, go to the doctor.
Absolutely,
it's normal. Anyone and everyone can get a UTI.
That's so true.
Yeah.
I think another thing that no one told me, how to dispose of feminine products.
Your mom didn't tell you this?
Honestly speaking, I feel like I got my first period while I was already in school.
Oh, okay.
But in school, like I was in a boarding school, so they had like a common area where, you put away the used pads or tampons or whatever, the sanitary bin there and everything. So there was a whole structure. And then I come back home and I don't know what to do. You know what I mean?
At home.
Yeah. I don't know what to do because one, I'm trying to hide my period so that the guys don't find out. So guys, I'm an only daughter. And I have two brothers. So I'm trying to keep our women's secrets, in the secret association of periods, a secret. I don't want to let
people down.
Yes, I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, So I didn't know how to dispose of it. And I was really like, I'd never seen any used pad in my mom's bathroom or anything like that.
So your mom used to do a very good
An
job at
extremely
disposing
good
it.
job of disposing it. So I never actually picked up like how she does it until one time I realized that, because another thing is that the boys, my brothers, like sometimes I would, but my brothers were the ones who always took the trash
Things
out
Yeah.
of the house.
Yeah.
So I was just like, how does she do it?
Mhm.
Because for me, I felt like, oh, if it was my turn to take out the trash,
Then
or
I'll
I would kind of be like, oh, I want to take out the trash, and then
Mhm.
I'll finesse it. But then now when I couldn't, I was like, okay, so what do I do? You know what I mean? And then I started to notice that what she did was like, even after she wraps it up, sometimes your pads already have like a wrapper.
Yeah.
She would also wrap it up like with like like we would collect like newspaper
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
house and
yeah.
stuff like that, and then she would wrap it up, and she would wrap it up like a little package. So even now, that's how I do it. Like I wrap it
Yeah.
up properly. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So all these things. So you know, I want to teach you girls in case somebody who doesn't know how to dispose of their sanitary ware well.
Yeah.
I know that people are coming to uni, people are coming out of high school, and they don't know how to do it because maybe you're coming from a boarding school where there's a structure, and then now you're in a house situation and you don't know exactly how to manage it. Because it's with pads, with tampons, you should dispose of them as fast as you can. You should
Yeah.
never keep your sanitary bin forever,
Yeah.
so you can't keep it maybe as long as you keep the trash or
Mm.
something like that. So if you have your pad, I think it's good hygiene and good etiquette to wrap it up, because some people just throw it out bare.
Yeah.
For us, they will tell you that if someone sees your period blood, they can use it to jazz
I was
you.
about to I was about to ask where you told this thing
Yes.
because I grew up being told like if you don't, someone can take this pad and then they can just use it and for some ritual or whatever like this. So you always need to make sure that it's wrapped, like discreetly, like maybe just looks like someone blew their nose and threw away the tissue papers. It shouldn't
Yes.
look like it's
apparent.
yeah.
Yes, exactly.
So yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's good etiquette to do that,
Yeah,
even
for
when you're
sure.
using like public restrooms as well, for the cleaners as well.
Yeah.
It's not very sightly. We all know blood is not something that is
Nice to see.
yeah,
Yeah.
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I think it's good to wrap it up very discreetly. If you can have a sanitary bin, and I encourage guys, even in your houses, we know you don't have periods, but I think it's good to have a sanitary bin for your female friends, for your sisters, for your visitors. I think it's a good practice to have. And before, I used to be embarrassed, like if I visited my guy friends and I was on my period and I needed to change or something like that. Now, because I realize the guys know, like I'm very comfortable. I'll tell them, I'm kind of on my period, so I need somewhere to dispose of, and I need to change. Or like, let's say even if like I'm sleeping over at a friend's or I've gone to visit for a couple of days, I tell them, and I tell them, oh, I'll need somewhere a sanitary situation, a little bin or something like that. And if I can't take out the trash myself, I'll tell them, hey, you need to take out this trash. Don't keep it until the week finishes or something like that. So I think these are good practices, guys, to have. So I hope you, as guys as well, you kind of learn a thing or two to help with the hygiene, because think about it, it's blood. And blood, like in that situation where it's wrapped up and it's humid, it will rot. There will be worms. Like the things I saw in boarding school, sis. Yeah, that's how I learned about that. I went through it, but yeah. So guys, yeah, I hope you guys, you're learning something. Now we're being very candid here. I applaud myself.
I think another thing like no one ever told me, and I found this out like recently actually, that wearing dark underwear can cause like infections, it can cause itching, it can cause all these things. And I only found out recently because I was with this doctor and she was a gynecologist, and she was advising me, as a student, like, oh, I know, a lot of people, especially like, black girls, you prefer to wear maybe black underwear because it
doesn't
it doesn't show, or
show.
now
Yeah.
there's like dark brown underwear, or something like this. And she was like, the problem with this is that to get that dark color means they have to dye this fabric, and that fabric dye that they use can really cause problems. I would advise you to wear like pale kind of colored panties, and not these dark ones all the time. I never knew. And for me personally, I think most of the underwear that I own is like dark, and it made so much sense when she was like, you do understand that the dye is the problem. So
because wool is kind of whitish or off-white in color.
So I never knew this. No one ever
actually,
told
when
me.
you told me this, I feel like I'd heard something like that before, but like hearing it from a professional like healthcare provider, then that made like a whole lot of sense, because I think I had watched a video and someone was saying that, so it felt kind of like they're just saying it from their experience, but now like it actually makes sense on a global scale as well.
So just be careful, like just knowing the effects of that as well. On top of that, she also then mentioned about washing your underwear with everything. I think back in Zimbabwe, I know this is nothing that I really did because there was no washing machine. So I always used to wash my
hand wash it,
not that there's no washing machine. We didn't have a washing machine. Other people have washing
probably
machines.
had, but it's more common that people
to wash.
hand wash clothes. Not washing machines are not that popular. At least for when we grew up. Now they're a thing.
But she also
even we now have one at home, so
right.
But growing up,
we didn't
have
right.
one.
You used to wash everything.
Yes.
So now because of that, she had to tell me, remember, like washing your underwear with everything else is not advisable, because you're washing, these clothes, they've been just out and about, bacteria, whatever, in the air, whatever, flies, or, all these insects or whatever.
True.
Then you wash it in the washing machine with your underwear, which is very like delicate, know. And she said, don't wash your delicates with other things. If you want to use it in the washing machine.
When you told me that, I was like,
that's the point. So wash them separately, and be careful also what type of washing liquid you use. So I think there's like non-biological and biological washing, whatever, that contain all these things. Just be careful, because also whatever, how we now read, I'm not going to drink this because it's got this, I'm not going to use this on my face because it's got, I don't know, something that will just cause problems. It's the same also for your delicates. Make sure you know that the washing liquids you're using do not have certain formulas that will then cause like problems onto your skin and your private area.
Oh wow. Bruh, that's true. Another something else no one told me. No one told me that a vagina doesn't taste or smell like perfume, strawberries, and whipped cream.
But the problem is people
I know it, having one, but like it was an expectation I started to have for myself, because I would just hear all these wild things. People tell each other, you see, like, no, young gentlemen, I don't know, for future purposes, no, a vagina does not taste like strawberries. It is not sweet. If anything, if there's a sweet taste, that is problematic. It does not taste like any fruit you've ever eaten.
There were stories like people now say, drink lots of pineapple juice.
And then it will taste like pineapple.
Pineapples.
No, it will just be a nice, normal, pleasant, I don't know, consistency, or there will be no odor or something like that. You know what I mean? So like, no one told me that. And I realized that. I was like, Really?
Sorry.
After all the effort.
I really tried. Sorry.
It's okay. Yeah. It's okay. Yeah. So, guys, vagina is a vagina.
Yeah.
Like a normal mucus cavity in the body. Your mouth produces what's it called? Saliva.
Yeah.
So you can imagine that a vagina produces, let's say, its own saliva in a way, because it has glands that actually produce this, like, liquid that you're seeing with this discharge. No, it doesn't smell like strawberries. If your saliva doesn't smell like strawberries, your vagina is definitely not going to discharge strawberry scented, I don't know, discharge.
Yeah, exactly.
guys, if you're expecting that, forget about it.
Honestly.
Yes, forget about it. It's ridiculous. Exactly. Yeah. Another thing that I also learned is that so another thing that can happen. Ooh, so no one told me. I think people need to know this, that your partner's sexual health can highly impact your own sexual health. I think for females out there, if you're sexually active, your partner's own like hygiene is really, really important, because I was like reading about this, and I was discovering a lot of like this information in more detail. So, for example, like with unprotected sex, where the man ejaculates inside the vagina, the semen has an alkaline pH, right? But we talked about the vaginal pH is more acidic. So so when people are having sexual intercourse, the vagina kind of adjusts its pH and it becomes more alkaline to allow the sperm to survive that environment and potentially make it to the egg. So while it's alkaline like that, remember that's no longer a good environment for our good bacteria to thrive.
Yeah.
So that's how you can also get, like, let's say bacterial vaginosis after unprotected sex all the time if the person ejaculates inside of you. Another thing that we need to know, our skin has bacteria, its own natural flora that is normal for the skin to have. And the quantities of those bacteria are different from individual to individual. So again, when you're having unprotected sex with someone, their skin flora is getting in touch with your vaginal flora or your vaginal environment, and your vagina might not like that. So a condom protects you from actually a lot. It protects you from sexually transmitted infections, and of course it's I'm having a brain fart. What do you call it?
Method. What?
Yes. What do you call these things that stop pregnancy?
Contraception.
Contraception. Sorry. My thesis was all about this,
Right.
Yeah, I'm just having a brain fart. But yeah, so it's a contraceptive method that can, that's the only one that can protect you from sexually transmitted infections. Actually, you can have all the other ones, but they don't protect you from that on top. So yes, guys, practice using condoms. And yeah, it's true that some people can be allergic to condoms or the latex, you know what I mean? So other methods could be used, or maybe non-latex condoms, or checking the ingredients or whatever. But this is important. So I think even what your partner is eating, are they taking care of their own body really well? You know what I mean? Like washing very well. With some guys, some people are circumcised, which means it's easier to clean like the penis and everything. But if they're not circumcised, they have to take extra care of cleaning the penis properly, because it can accumulate that what do they call it? I forgot the name of that. Exactly.
But everything, sweat,
bacteria, and everything in that skin. So they need to clean it well. And you can imagine if a person is not very hygienic, and then you have unprotected sex with them, now you're having bacterial vaginosis and you have a fishy odor. Guess who's complaining? It's the guys. But sometimes they are the ones who are actually causing it. So if there are any gents listening to this, also your own personal hygiene will really affect your partner. We have this amazing system that is, for reproduction, and it's extremely sensitive to be treated with tender love and care.
And care.
Yes, please. And respect. You know what I mean? So yeah, guys, like make sure you're keeping that in mind.
Yeah. I think another thing no one ever told me was that, not to be rude, actually, it's not being rude because I'm part of this demographic. No one ever told me that big boobs can cause BO.
No, girl, no. I cannot relate.
Well, let me tell you that. So this is a real thing, like I feel like when you have bigger boobs, you can't wear, the same bra over a long period of time. That like there are other advantages that people have when you have like smaller boobs.
I mean, for reference, I'm an A cup.
Yeah, well, then I'm an E cup.
There you go.
The problem is that you sweat a lot more between your boobs and under your boobs.
Hey.
So it means when you shower, the same way you scrub, you also need to be lifting and scrubbing, parting and scrubbing, putting a lot of effort because, imagine if you're not washing that area properly, it means you're just accumulating sweat there, and dirt,
bacteria.
Exactly. And then summer, it just really, it's like excess meat, this is what it is. So you'll be really sweating and you see maybe that, man, you'll be really trying to shower properly, doing everything, but just because you do not wash this particular part properly, the smell,
or maybe dry it properly. I can imagine.
Properly. And now imagine you also wear the same bra over a long period of time. You do not have that. What do they call it? The
luxury.
Thank you. You don't have that luxury to maybe wear one bra in, I don't know, 3 days, for 3 days. You don't. You actually have to
change your bras more frequently.
Exactly. So no one ever told me that. And I had to kind of learn on my own.
Yeah.
Like, okay, well, God has given me this gift, but I have to,
yes,
be doing a lot more just to make sure that I smell good and I don't have this particular, odor coming from. So for the big-breasted ladies out there, just take care,
extra care.
Make sure you're cleaning properly, you're washing properly, you're not wearing the same bra over a long period of time because it's sweaty, and everything like that. Just take good care. Yeah.
Thank you for preaching to the big busted girlies out there, man. I think no one told me I'd start growing hair around my areolas. We recently shared this between the two of us, and I was like, "Hey, are you also growing like hair around your nipples?" And we're like, "Yeah." So I was listening to this podcast, and I heard that actually, like, if I think women, like, they don't have kids past a certain age.
Yeah.
For reference, well, I'm 27.
Yeah, we're both 27.
We're both 27 now. Yeah. Past, I think, 25 or something like that.
Yeah.
This is
typical
Karens. It's a thing. And I was like, wow.
Honestly, when you told me that, I was like,
I guess I'm not the only one. Because I was just like, is this some breast cancer thing or what? Yeah, it's just like these really odd things start to happen with your body. I mean, it's not to say, oh, you should have kids to avoid that, because like it's not going to kill anyone that you have hair on your nipples, but it's just like it's something odd, you're just like, what's going on with my body?
I mean, I'm sure other people naturally have this hair around
their nipples, but I personally don't.
But for the people that don't, if you see it growing, don't think, I don't know. For me, I thought, man, there was an imbalance somewhere. Me too. I was like, do I need to go get some blood tests? Maybe like,
is this some PCOS thing going on?
So I think just know that when it does happen, it's
pretty normal.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna go with just like one or two more, guys, and then maybe we could do this again if you guys enjoyed this. Hey, we have so many more things that no one told us. I will give you many different editions.
A lot.
Yes. But I think I'm gonna mention one more thing, and maybe you can mention one more thing. So no one told me I have 3 holes.
Oh my gosh. This was a thing for me as well.
I literally discovered that in my perineal region, or that quad.
When you open your legs?
When you open your legs, when you open the book, they are in females. There are 3 holes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I had no idea. I actually didn't know where like the blood from my period is coming from and the pee is coming from.
Yeah.
Because if you wear pads, for example, like when you pee during your period, you see blood and you see the pee. So it's natural for you to think that it's coming from the same place. But it's not. You know what I mean? So that's why it's possible for you to still pee on your period if you're wearing a tampon or a menstrual cup or something like that. So I discovered it in uni that, actually, there's my urethra where my pee comes from. There's my vagina where my period blood comes from. Then there's my anus where the stool comes from. science.
Wow.
Rocket science. So actually, I think a practice that I learned, I think I would encourage every young girl to do this by themselves. Take a mirror, open your legs, learn what's there, know how it looks like normally, and everything like that. I know sometimes it can be uncomfortable, and it took me a lot of time to become comfortable with my body, but I took that mirror and I had a look, and I was like, oh, so that's that. I'm just learning all these things, but I have it. So you should know. So don't be embarrassed. It's your body, and it's beautiful, and it was created uniquely.
Yeah. Facts.
Yeah.
I think for me, no one ever told me that my body is different from everyone's. And in terms of just using certain products, you know. So, you know, because of advertising and everything, maybe just roll on, you just think Nivea is the one that I should use.
One
the
these
popping
days.
Dove is the one that I should use. Or at my time, the perfume that was using was Hottie Totty. Did you have that one?
Yes, of course. I even used to use the cream as well.
You see, everyone is like, oh, and
maximum effects.
I don't know, it just seemed a little bit bougie, you know, Hottie Totty,
Yeah,
whatever, like this at the
it was
time.
popping back then.
You know, but no one ever told me that just because everyone uses Nivea or uses Dove, that is the one that's going to help me, like, not sweat a lot, you know. So for the longest of time, I think I was actually using products that I thought worked, but they worked for other people, they just didn't work for me, you know. So just knowing that, yo, like, I need to find what works for me, what locks it in for me, you know. Just because Tendie is using Dove does not mean I should use Dove, you know.
That's so true.
Just because you know, this, you know, it's like the way that when you go to a perfume store and they say you should spray the perfume on your skin because your skin releases certain oils and has a certain smell, and like what Tendie was saying, has even like certain like bacteria that is there, that certain perfume just smells a lot better on you,
than other people,
you know. Or you'll smell it, it smells good there, but when it's on your skin it doesn't smell as good. And that's because everyone's body is different, and that is okay, which means you have to find something that works for you. So for the longest of time, you know, I was just using products for the sake of, even, you know, you'll be using so much money just buying and whatever, until I found out, no, this is actually what works for me, and I'm going to stick to that, because that works for me. And no one told me that, you know, because now you start thinking, is something wrong with me that this Nivea that is popular is not working for me?
Or it's even making me smell weird or something.
It's just not working. It's okay. It just doesn't work for you.
I think I experienced this with all these like vitamins, you know. And for me, you know, these vitamins, because I was like, oh, you know, I'm going to take these supplements and everything, and my pee smelled like pills. And I hated it. And I was like, but my body has been fine, and my body is happy with my diet, because for me, I think my body responds to my diet much better than maybe all these chemical substances or pre-prepared, whatever. So it's like, let me keep doing what I'm doing. My body is just fine. I'm not missing anything. I'm taking whatever I need to take in my diet. Let me leave these supplements alone.
Let me just do what I'm doing.
Let me just eat my fruits instead of taking all this vitamin, that. My body is fine. I'm not anemic. My iron is fine.
I'm good.
Why is my pee smelling like a pharmacy?
True.
Yeah.
Like, it's just very important. I think on top of that, sorry, I know you say one more, but Tendie is the one who told me this. Just in passing, she mentioned, she said, "Oh, you know, I can't buy this tissue because it's got a certain scent, and that affects my my wee wee area." Yeah. Like, because I know you use like plain white. Right? No scents, no nothing, color, no nothing. And I didn't know this until you mentioned it to me. And I remember
you started paying attention.
I started paying attention to this, and I was like, okay, let me try. Let me try what this girl is saying. And honestly, that also made a difference.
There you go.
And so just even knowing that, like,
the toilet paper to use.
Yeah, your body reacts differently. Like other people will be fine.
It doesn't even matter. You can use a newspaper.
It'll be fine.
Page from your notes. I don't know.
You'll be fine. And other people, you'll just use that one, and wow, hell will break loose.
I'm telling you, man.
Yeah.
Honestly, this has been so much fun. To talk about. It's like, guys, Nah, I know that people need this more from us.
Yeah.
This
So
candid
please
talks.
let us know if you need more
Yes.
information.
Yeah, we're so happy to discuss this and talk about it and share with you guys all the stuff, some of the things that we've discussed. Some of it we're reserving it for later. you need to you need to unlock those other topics. But yeah, it's so nice to be candid and actually share some useful information that we didn't really have, or we had to discover. You are discovering it on your own, I'm discovering it on my own, but hopefully you guys can learn quite a bit, and do your own research and stuff like that. So yeah, guys, this is the end of this episode, and this is the journey of life, and with that, I'd love to say bon voyage.